Our embedded assessment is called library lines. Library lines. Page 153. You need a pencil, you don't need any paper. Just page 153. Okay, we all good?
Yeah.
Now, let me explain to you what we're going to do and why we're going to do it this way. I think I talked to you all yesterday about this unit. And this unit probably has some things in it that you've not heard of before. The last unit, we had some practice to do. Maybe we learned some about order of operations that we didn't know before. Maybe we learned some about dividing fractions that we didn't know. But you all have heard of fractions, you've heard of dividing. You've heard of order of operations. There's going to be things in this unit that you've not heard of. So we're going to, when we unpack this embedded assessment, we're going to look a little more closely at what we're going to do. So here's what we're going to, the first thing we're going to do is just look at the whole thing all together. So I would like someone to read the first paragraph. Ben, would you read, please?
Mark and Susan are putting away the encyclopedias on a shelf in their school library. They place the books next to each other in a row. All of the books in the set are exactly the same thickness. The table shows the total length of a row of the books for different numbers of books in the row.
Okay, so that is what's setting up the problems that we're going to work through for our embedded assessment. We're going to go through and read each of these, then we're going to break them down into more specific areas. So I would like someone to read number 1. Gage, read it, hon.
Copy and complete the table.
Okay, so Gage, tell us what is in the table.
The length of the row and the books in the row.
Okay, very good. What about number 2? Emily, read 2, hon.
What is the thickness in inches of a single book? Explain how you determine your answer.
Okay, number 3. I need a reader for 3. Caleb.
Plot the data from the table on graph paper. Be sure to label each axis with a title and an appropriate scale.
Excellent. CJ, 4.
Use the graph to determine the thickness of 12 books from the set. Explain how you determine your answer.
Okay, Bradley, would you read 5, hon?
Choose a variable, the number of books placed in a row on the shelf, and another variable for the total length of these books in a row. Then use your variables to write a rule that gives the total length of these books in terms of the number of books in the shelf placed in a row. Be certain to indicate what the variable means.
Okay, so there seems like there's pretty much for number 5, but we'll get into that a little bit more. Number 6, Brady.
Use your equation from question 5 to find the length of 82 books from the set.
And then number 7, Samantha.
Graph the linear equation y equals 3x minus 2. Make a table of ordered pair of squares.
Okay, so we've seen the big picture. We have read through the whole embedded assessment. You kind of have an idea in your mind exactly what we need to do. I'm going to number you off, so please listen to your number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Josh, you're 7. Andrew, you're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Cam, you're 7. Evelyn, you're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. CJ, 7. Austin, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Ooh, that was perfect. Now, what number I gave you, I want you to look at that number of the problem in your book. And here's what I want you to do on your own. I'm going to give you a minute or so to do this. I want you to read through that. I want you to underline, highlight any vocabulary words that you think will be important. And then just out to the side, I want you to write down what is the problem asking you to do. So do that right now. The number that I gave you. I'm going to give you a minute or 2 to look at that. I need everybody to listen. Here's something that I've not told you yet, and I don't know if you've gathered it by looking through your unit or not. You guys know that this unit's very short, 4 lessons, okay? This embedded assessment only has 2 lessons that lead up to that. So everything that you need to know is either going to be in lesson 3.1 or it's going to be in lesson 3.2. So you're going to get together with other people that looked at your same problem in just a little bit. And as a group, this is what I want you to do. First of all, you're going to write down what is the question asking me to do. So you're going to talk about it as a group. You're going to come up with one final answer. What is the question asking me to do? Then what vocabulary words will I need to know? I had you guys highlight vocabulary words, underline them, write down what vocabulary words you're going to need to know. Some of these words you've not been exposed to before. Probably linear equation might be one of them. How many people underline linear equation? Okay, so you guys probably had maybe number 7, okay? Then, here's something that you're going to need to do as a group. In what sections will this concept or concepts be covered? So I want you to look back at section 3.1. I know we've not worked through this yet, but look at it. Look at section 3.2 when you get together in your group and see the information that you're asked for, where might you find that? Now, once you gather all that together, you're going to have someone in your group that's going to be the recorder. You guys decide. Preferably someone whose writing is legible. I know when we get together as a math group, we always ask Mrs. Keeman to be our recorder because she's got beautiful handwriting. So we want to be able to read it because we're going to have to read it in a couple of weeks when we actually do this embedded assessment. I took my piece of paper and I divided it into 3 parts. I put what number the question I had up here. I just put a number 1 just so I could give an example for you all. In one part on my paper, I'm going to write down what's the question asking me to do. Second part of my paper, I'm going to write down what vocabulary words I need to know. And then in the third part, I'm going to write down what section or sections I can find these concepts in. Now, I don't care if you turn your paper like this. I don't care if you turn it like that. It doesn't matter, okay? So let's have all number 1s up here in this area. Okay, so you're going to have to get up and move. All number 1s up around here. Are you a number 1? Then you stay there, honey. Number 2s, let's go back there, okay? Number 3s, let's put you here, so you don't have to move. Number 4's back there. Number 5's up here somewhere. Number 6 and number 7's, I'm going to put you in the back. Okay? Okay, you need to discuss with your group. You need to get a recorder. That recorder needs to come up and get a sheet of paper and a marker. Okay? You need to discuss these 3 with your group. I'm going to give you a couple minutes to do this so everybody gets started.
Can I use your chair?
Yeah, honey, go get it. Get the marker, sweetie. Pencil won't show up. Who's your recorder here? Evelyn? Okay. So Samantha's the folder? Okay, who's your recorder? Quinn? Okay. What number do you guys have? 6? Ben, do you need to move your desk, honey, so you're with them? Or are you okay? Okay.
There's only 2 ways to smoke. There's 3 ways. We could do the table and
However you want to put in your own words is fine.
I want to name my daughter. The girl name.
Okay, we good back here? Remember, it doesn't have to be exact. It doesn't have to be exact. Whatever you do is fine. You guys are 3?
So what did you want to put
Well, what's it asking you to do?
plot the data?
Okay, I would write that down, plot the data. What else?
Label each axis
Label the axis. What else?
with title and appropriate scale.
Title and appropriate scale.
And that's it.
Yeah. Because remember, each of these is not a huge amount of work. They've broken it down to you. So you guys are gonna become the experts on number 3.
Is it pronounced data or data?
Honey, it's either way. How do you say it? Data? What's the question asking you to do? To what, hon?
Determine the thickness of all the
To determine the thickness. Just flat out, what is it asking you to do? Are they giving you input? Are they giving you input?
What?
Are you still setting up your paper?
Oh, we're still doing it.
Okay. I know. It's quite the sight, isn't it?
Wait, you did write the A. Oh, yeah.
Now, guys, as a group, you're going to have to look back at those other 2 sections. You haven't done that individually yet. So you're choosing a variable and what else? Ben and Jonathan, what else should she put down besides choose a variable?
Indicate what your variables mean.
Okay, so indicate what your variable means.
Yeah, this is just ours also ties in with 5.
So what are you're right. So what are you going to have to do? You're going to have to look at 5 too. Because yours, you've got to be able to get 5 right before you actually get yours correct. So you guys are going to have to think about that a little bit. Hunter, you giving input?
Yeah.
What else did you put?
Yeah, but ours was easy. We had number 1.
Yours was usually the first one's lots of times the easiest one.
So what is the question?
Linear. Linear. What does linear sound like? Okay. What does, as you say liner, what does liner sound like? Oh, it sounds like what? Okay, remember that. Remember that.
So you just
Hey guys, let's look at maybe 2 more minutes. 2 more minutes.
On the show. Yeah. Does it really talk about it?
Did you find what sections yet?
Yeah, 3.1.
3.1? Do you think it's just 3.1? Did you look at 3.2? So 3.1. So we're good to go with this group? Okay. Excellent. We'll have you share in just a little bit.
What if 3.1?
Well, look, talk to your group about it.
okay.
Quinn, what do you think? What lesson? 3.1. Now, look up there. In what section or sections? So is it always just one section? So look at, if you think it's 3.1, honey, I'm not saying it's not, but look at 3.2 just to be sure. Because you want to double check, because it could be in more than one section. So you think both? Guys, about 1 more minute. Are we good here? Got our section, vocab words. Then we've got the group that likes to write.
Yeah.
Guys, how we doing? Got your question down? What about your vocab? Linear. But if you want to think linear because you're thinking line, that's fine, but just know it's linear. How are we doing here? Good? I know I don't see that. Okay, 30 seconds. Thank you.
In what section is
Does it look good?
It looks wonderful. But you're going to share. I'm not sharing, you are. Very good.
Let's finish this concept.
Okay, you need to get your section down because we're almost ready to wrap it up and share out. So remember, you've only got 3-1 and 3-2 to choose from.
Does that say covered?
Covered. Which sections is this concept or concepts? Because you could have more than one concept. And what sections are they covered? So you're going to look at 3-1 and 3-2. Okay, those are the only two sections. And put down what section. So you just have to write a number, honey. You can put 3.1 or 3.2. Okay, guys, I'm going to ask you to move back to your seats, please. Back to your seats. I'm going to have the recorder go through what you all have written down. Okay, so if you're the recorder, you're going to report out for us. So, number 1, who was the recorder? Evelyn, tell us what you discovered. First of all, what is the question asking us to do? Okay, now guys, think about that for a minute. Are we all capable of copying a table? Yeah. Okay, I think so. Do you think we're going to be capable of finding the length of a row for a certain number of books? Yes. I bet we can do that. Okay, so that one sounds pretty good. What vocabulary words might we come across with this question? Okay, so we need to know what a table is in mathematical terms. Not a table like a table there, right? But we need to know a table in mathematical terms. And I will tell you throughout this unit, we're going to actually change the information from that table and we're going to put it on a graph, which I know you probably have done in the past. Now, what lesson does this cover? Excellent. End of 3-1, beginning of 3-2. So Evelyn, would you bring that up here, please? And we're going to put that up on the board. Okay, who is my recorder? And you're going to be the reporter for group number 2. Who's group number 2? Okay, Emily, share, honey. What is the... Okay, go on with number 2, please.
You have to find the thickness of the books in inches and explain how you got the answer.
Okay, so we have to find the thickness in inches of the book, and then we have to explain how we got the answer. Now, guys, when we explain in math, is it just words? Is it an example? What is it? Somebody tell me. Kayla, what is it? Okay, it could be words, but what else might we do that would be a good explanation? Okay, we could show an example. We could show our work. Okay, hon, what about vocabulary?
Explain, determine, and thickness.
Okay, so explain, and we just kind of talked about what that meant. Determine. What do you guys think determine means? Andrew?
To figure out.
Okay, to figure out. In math, do we have to determine things often? Andrew, what do you think? Yeah. Like what kinds of things would we have to determine besides this question?
An equation.
Okay, so we might have to determine the value of an equation, I agree. Okay, and then tell us, Emily, what section?
The second half of 3.1 and the first half of 3.2.
Okay, so I think we've seen that a number of these questions involve both of these lessons. Excellent. Now, group number 3. Okay, Samantha, tell us, what is the question asking us to do?
Plot the data and label each axis with a title and an appropriate scale.
Okay, so we have to plot the data, then we have to label each axis with an appropriate what?
Scale.
With an appropriate scale, good. What about vocabulary?
Data, axis,
scale and plot.
Excellent. And what lesson might we find this in?
Lesson 3.1.
Lesson 3.1. Now, even though she did not say 3.2, I would bet some of the concepts that we're focusing on here we might also find in 3.2, but most of it's going to be in 3.1. What about number 4? Okay, Brooke, you're 4. Tell us, what is the question asking us to do?
To determine the thickness of the 12 books.
Okay, to determine the thickness of the 12 books. And then what about vocabulary?
Graph, determine, and explain.
Graph, determine, and explain. Guys, I noticed some of the vocabulary I'm hearing in some of the questions. That's good. We picked up on that we need to know that. And then what sections?
Sections 3-1 and 3-2.
3-1 and 3-2. Very good. What about number 5? Where's my 5 person? Well, right down the row. Okay. Quinlan, what's 5 asking us to do?
To choose a variable and indicate what the variable means.
Okay, to choose a variable. What are we choosing a variable for? What does it say?
It says to the number of books placed in the row of the shelf.
Okay, so we have to choose a variable, then we have to say what does the variable mean, and you just told me what the variable meant, right? And then what about vocabulary?
Variable length and indicate.
Okay, variable length and indicate. And what section?
3.1.
3.1. Guys, let me ask you this. When you look through these sections, what did you think as you were glancing through them? Did anybody have any thoughts? Andrew, what'd you think?
In the beginning, when the graphs were on there and the tables were on there, they looked pretty easy. But as soon as you went through more, it just began becoming blanker and blanker.
So you're saying as we work through the lessons, there's going to be more and more for you to do? Yeah, probably. Okay, number 6. Where's my 6th person? Okay, Carly. Okay, tell us what the question's asking us to do.
To find the length of 82 books using the set and your equation from question 5.
Okay, now, guys, this is one of those problems that if we miss 5, if we mess up on number 5, what's going to happen to number 6? What's going to happen, Gage?
It's gonna mess up.
Yeah, it's going to mess up too. Okay, so we've got to focus and make sure that we get 5 correct. What about vocabulary?
Equation, length, variable, and rule.
Okay, and what section?
Section 3.1 and 3.2.
Excellent, section 3.1 and 3.2. And last but not least, we're 7. Now, 7's the one that might have the most bit of new information in it for us. Okay, what is 7 asking us to do?
To make ordered pairs and for us to graph the linear equation.
Okay, to make ordered pairs and graph the linear equation. We might have some vocabulary words in there that are new. What vocabulary words do you have down?
Linear equation and ordered pairs.
Okay, and what sections?
3.1 and 3.2.
Okay, good, 3.1 and 3.2. If you have those papers, I will collect those in a little bit and we're going to put those up. Guys, how do you feel about this once we've been through it? How do you feel about it? How do you feel, Gage?
Seems pretty easy.
Seems pretty easy once we've broken it down. CJ, what about you?
It doesn't seem as difficult.
It seems what?
It doesn't seem as difficult.
Once we've looked at it? And yeah, I agree with you. And what you guys did is exactly what I do every time we have an embedded assessment. I look at it, I see what vocabulary we need, what's the question asking us to do. I look at to see what sections are covered in each of them. So what you guys did is exactly what I do each time. And hopefully you feel a little bit better about this. You know what concepts we're going to cover in the next couple of lessons. You know that, you know what, this is not going to be that difficult, is it? Because I think all of us realize that we can do this. Maybe we need a little bit of practice, we need a little bit more instruction, but we can handle this.